Okay, welcome everybody. Today I'm going to introduce you to my colleague Chris Chico. Now, Chris is based in the USA, but he is a master of online property sourcing. He basically invented what became known as virtual wholesaling. And for our UK audience, wholesaling is just the American name for deal packaging. And he's also pioneered online real estate deal sourcing using Facebook ads. Now, I purchased his Facebook course for finding motivated sellers a couple of years ago. I implemented it, and sure enough, I was able to start generating motivated seller leads on demand. So, Chris, welcome to the broadcast. And why don't you start by telling us a bit about who you are and why people call you the godfather of virtual wholesaling?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. Number one, and I never heard of that term before. Property packaging, is that what it's called on the other side? That's
Yeah.
interesting. I never heard of that. I've been in real estate. I've been in real estate since 1990. Originally, got started as a real estate agent, and I went to college and did everything that people said you should do, which is get a degree. Eventually, I decided not to do that, and so I decided to focus on real estate. So I started as an agent. You don't have to start off as an agent. And eventually then made my path to becoming a real estate investor, specifically a wholesaler. And I did that because I went to work for another real estate investor who was a wholesaler. I did that for a year and eventually ventured on my own. And so what happened is this is back in 2004. 4 or 5, we were doing well here in the South Florida market, which is where we were located. And that was when the internet was just starting. To date things, that was before, I call it before Google Street View. Like if people think like, wow, Google Street View is like a normal thing, Google Maps. We had none of that. Before any of that stuff, I just had the idea of I saw that other people were doing deals in other markets around the country, and I said, well, I wonder if you could do that. And so through a lot of trial and error, around 2005 and six is really when I started to do virtual deals from here. And it was a lot of trial and error. Even stuff such as getting photos of the property. We had to hire somebody find somebody local that had a digital camera that knew how to operate it and go through all that process and eventually ended up coining the term in 2007, virtual wholesaling. And that's why I'm considered the godfather, because before I created the whole concept, nobody had called it anything or had done it before. And then since then, I've taught lots of students. I think I have over 10,000 customers and clients that we've helped with that, as well as there's a lot of other people using that term nowadays. It's become a common term that people use to describe, the methodology of doing deals this way.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, you do take Google Street View for granted these days. It's hard to remember a time when
Yeah.
it wasn't there. And I can see that you'd have to mess about a bit to get photos of the property
Yeah.
without that. So what's wrong with the old way of doing property that some people may still be doing right now?
Yeah, if we consider the old way, the old way, let's say if we consider the old way in terms of physically having to do things physically, which is in real estate, people believe that that's the way you should do things. You need to physically inspect the property, you need to meet belly to belly with people, and certainly you can do business that way. However, the main thing is that the virtual gives you two things. It gives you the opportunity to do the business in a more streamlined way, where then now you could do virtually, right? So you don't have to drive all over town. It also expands your opportunities, because now instead of you just focusing on one particular market, now you have the entire country available to you. So if you're in a particular market that may be difficult to do deals in, like say, for example, in New York City, then now you can venture into other parts of the country. I also have clients that are doing this business from, like for example, in Israel. I have clients in Israel that from Israel are wholesaling houses here virtually.
Wow.
And so then, those opportunities would not be available to them if they were not willing to consider the virtual aspect of it. And obviously, it's a lot easier now than it was before, from a tools perspective and also from an acceptance perspective. Meaning, the tools is we talked about Google Street View and Google Maps and all the various tools that are available that you can query and figure out what a property is worth. A lot of that stuff wasn't available back when I started. So then now, in terms of the tools available for anyone to be able to do this virtually, they're there. Even just properly getting signatures. When I started, you had to mail the seller a package, and then you had to put a return envelope, and they had to mail it back. And now they can just quickly sign that document on the phone. So also at the same, that's one part of it, the tools aspect of it, and then also the other part of it is now, especially even before COVID, but especially now with COVID, people are willing now more so than ever to entertain the idea of doing something virtually, of selling their house virtually, of not having people coming through their houses. So I think that also helps. It makes it easier because now the seller or the property owner that you're trying to do business with isn't going to demand that, hey, you need to come and look at my property. That for them, they accept that, hey, we're going to do this completely virtual, and there's other ways. There's ways to take a look at the property by getting them to take photos, etc. But it's a combination of those two things that make the new way a lot more efficient. So not only is it you have the tools, but you also have the mindset of the people that you're dealing with that are open to the virtual model.
Yeah, it's definitely a model that's coming of age now. With not that it's just a nice way of doing things, a more efficient way of doing things, but now it's for a lot of people it's becoming more essential. The way that you have to do things if we with social distancing and all of that. So going back to when I joined your program, Chris, it was all about finding motivated seller leads locally to where you are, and I've noticed you've changed the focus of that to now being more about a kind of nationwide virtual real estate finder. Why did that change, and what are the advantages of this new way of doing things, and why is it so simple and profitable?
Well, it changed for a couple of things. Number one is that we're teaching Facebook. There's a couple reasons why. There's the platform issue. There is also the competitive issue, right? And then there's more opportunity. So the platform is that in Facebook works better the bigger the audience you give it. So if you're targeting in a very specific area, then you're going to pay more per lead, and you're going to be in competition with more people than if you expand your area. So number one, it makes it easier and gives you a lower cost per lead to be able to do it, to be able to when you target nationwide. Secondly, when you target nationwide, you're having to deal with less competition, because in a typical real estate investing wholesaling business, you're deciding on one market, you're going to go into that one market, you're going to decide, say, I'm going to get a list of people that are delinquent on their taxes, but guess what? 10 or 15 or 20 other investors are getting the same list, and you're mailing them as well as other people mailing them, so you have a really tremendous saturation. What happens is when you target nationwide, you're getting deals in a lot of areas throughout the country that are not heavily targeted by other real estate investors. Yes, you will also get deals in heavily populated areas too as well, but you're not dependent on just those very populated areas. You're getting deals from all over the country, so it makes it easier to deal with those sellers, because many times when you're on the phone with a seller, you're not in a competition with somebody else. They're not telling you, "Well, I got 4 or 5 other letters from other real estate investors that are looking to buy my property." So the competition aspect of it is also less. And also the opportunity, meaning that rather than you just saying, hey, I'm going to do deals in this area, now you have the whole country to be able to do them in. And especially now when you add the layer of the fact that of the virtual aspect of it, the tools, and the fact that people's mindsets are very much pro virtual, then it just makes that business a lot easier. And that's the hardest part of our business is you got to find motivated property owners, but you got to do it at a reasonable cost, and that's what the nationwide model really affords us.
Got it. Yeah, I've run Facebook campaigns for other things, and you always find the bigger the audience, the cheaper the cost per lead and
Yeah.
sale and so on. So yeah, you pretty much covered my next question about is the method suitable for the current environment of COVID and lockdowns. You might want to say more about that, but also is it suitable for beginners or experienced investors or both?
Yeah, I mean it's for both. We have a lot of clients that are new investors that are coming right from the very beginning. They've never done any sort of lead generation or any real estate experience, and now are taking and starting from scratch with Facebook and getting their first deal. And then we have experienced investors that are maybe doing cold calling, direct mail, or other marketing avenues, and now they're looking for a new source of leads. Now, the national model really can only be done with digital marketing, because let's say that if you wanted to target, even if we say just wanted to target the entire state of Florida as an example. Let's say I didn't want to go nationally, but I'm in Florida. I'll just do the whole state of Florida. Very difficult to do that if you're doing conventional methods such as direct mail or cold calling, because it's very cost prohibitive. You're not going to mail the entire state of Florida. You can, but it's going to cost you a pretty penny, right? Because there's over 12 million or so people here, I think, something like that. Whereas, so the nationwide model really is you're only able to do that with digital marketing. And so we have a lot of students that start from scratch that never knew anything about anything about online marketing, and are able to successfully get up and running in a couple hours and be able to start generating motivated sellers. So definitely it is for both beginners and also for experienced investors looking to find a new way to get deals.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I'm sure that the question that's on everyone's minds that's listening to this: what is the because people will have generally tried different methods of getting leads. What is the general quality of leads that you can generate on Facebook, and how good are they?
Well, I'll answer this question in a couple of different layers. Number one is what's the difference in the type of lead with Facebook versus other methods, right? So let's look at a method. The main thing, one of the main benefits of a lead generation strategy like Facebook is that these people are incoming. So unlike a strategy where you're cold calling people, you're outbound and you're trying to then, they weren't interested in talking to you that day, and now you have to get over the obstacle of, okay, who are you? Why are you calling me? And then finally get into a situation about their property. These are people that have raised their hands on Facebook and have said, hey, I'm interested in selling my property. Please let's have a conversation about it. So you're dealing, first of all, you're dealing with a warm prospect, and then it comes down to a numbers game. The cost per lead is generally very favorable with Facebook, because let's say if we're spending $10 a lead as an example, versus say direct mail might cost you, upwards of $75 a lead. So now if you look at it, if you look at this business from a purely numbers perspective, and if we say that, hey, in order to get a deal, you need to at least have, let's say, rule of thumb, you need to generate at least 50 leads. 50 leads, and then one of those will turn into a deal. And now, depending on your level of skill, you can take and generate more than one lead from 50, right? We have students that do one deal every 20 or so leads. But let's say use that number of 50 leads. If you're doing direct mail and every lead is $70, now the cost, you're spending about $3,000. I gotta pause this. You're spending about $3,000 in order to put yourself in an opportunity to get a deal. Well, on Facebook, if the lead cost is $10 a lead, 50 leads is 500. A much more different situation there. And if the average deal could be worth $10,000 or so, then with Facebook you get much better ROI. So Facebook gives you a lower cost per lead to work with, which is great when you're brand new, because when you're brand new in the business, and if your lead cost is 75 or $100 a lead, then every time you're talking to that individual, like, you're really like worried, like, oh my God, this lead costs so much money. If I screw this one up, then I got to spend another $100. So, with the lower cost per lead, it kind of gives you more of a leeway. Not that you don't want to take advantage of every lead that comes in, but at the same time, it's a lot easier when it's $10 leads versus $100 leads, right? As an example. Does that make sense? Does that answer the
Yeah.
question? Yeah.
Absolutely, it's definitely about the return on your investment. As property investors, that's what it's all about. You
Yeah.
spend some money, you hope to make some money, and the cheaper you can get good leads for, the more the better your bottom line is going to be, and that's what it's all about. So yeah, Facebook ads. Now, certainly, when I first approached Facebook ads, it was a bit daunting, and that's even as someone who comes from a techie background. So it can be a bit daunting for someone who's not done it before. So, can you tell us about how you can help with your Find Motivated Sellers online course, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, as with anything new, there's always a learning curve. I would say this: if in terms of learning the skill of online marketing and advertising, Facebook is the easiest platform to learn from. Right? Once you learn that platform, then it's easy for you to take that knowledge and be able to do it in other platforms. Number two is that it doesn't require you to have a tremendous technical ability. Everybody that we have in our group, in our course that is successfully doing deals, they started from scratch where they had never done it before, and you can get up and running in a matter of a few hours. And the way that we help people get up and running is the fact that we have three layers, right? We have step-by-step video tutorials what walk you through as if you almost as if you didn't even know the internet existed. We're starting you from scratch, and then not quite there, but almost there, right? So we start you from scratch. You get to follow the video tutorials step by step, and no matter how great the video tutorials are, you're always going to have questions. And so we have multiple layers of getting questions answered. So we have two different Facebook groups that you can go in and you can ask questions. I go in and answer questions. Other successful students answer questions. So now you have a community. You have a way to get your questions answered. And then also further, if you get stuck, we also have a very responsive support desk. So if you're stuck in one particular thing, you can't get it figured out, you reach out to us, and then we help you in any way we can. And so I think I really I really pride myself on the fact that we really have great customer service, and we have a lot of case studies and testimonials of successful students. But that doesn't happen by chance. It happens because, hey, we really and again, we're always constantly tweaking the course as well. So we're always doing updates, making it better. But on top of that, no matter how good I do the course, I know there's going to be questions. So we have avenues for people to ask their questions. And I think that's the reason why people are so successful with the materials.
Yeah, I can testify to that. Being in the group there, it's certainly very active, and you're pretty hands on. Yeah, see, you're doing Facebook Lives in there pretty regularly and so on
Yeah.
too. So that is awesome. So in terms of time investment, a lot of people getting into property, they've got a full-time job and they want to run it alongside that. Is it suitable for someone in that kind of situation?
Yeah, Facebook is great for that because let's say that if you're part-time, you have a full-time job and you want to get this business off the ground. The challenge you may have is that you have a very limited amount of time. And so then, if you look at a strategy like cold calling, for example, you need a certain number of hours per day to be cold calling people in order to get leads. Well, if you have a full-time job and you get home at 5 or 6, by the time you get home, you're not going to have time to cold call. So you really need an inbound way to get leads so that you have something that's working in the background, finding these prospects while you're doing what you're doing throughout the course of the day. And so that's a great thing about Facebook is because of the fact that, these leads are incoming. Once you set up the campaign, if you sit down, it depends on how much. I always recommend to people that just to really focus and try to get it done as quickly as possible. We've had people that have signed up literally for the course, at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and by midnight, everything is up and running. And then now they're in a position where now they have ads up and running. And then once you get that foundation set up, then it's just you have it running in the background. You're tweaking a couple things here or there, but it's a lot less work, than a lot less work once you have it up and running. And again, as you're going out and about your day, as the leads come in, then you'll get a lead. And the lead will come into your email, or you can have it text to you. There's a variety of different ways to receive the leads, and at that point, then you communicate with the people on your time. And so I think that's the benefit of any inbound strategy, and especially with Facebook, is that you can have it work in the background while you're doing something else, and thus, if you're working full time, it's a perfect way to get this business started.
Yeah, absolutely. Having done it myself, there is a little bit more work at the start, but once you've got all the kind of the framework set up, then it's really just a little bit of maintaining it from time to time. So it's not that time consuming at all. So obviously this is a paid ad strategy. A lot of people are maybe used to just doing free advertising, guerrilla marketing type, bandit signs, things like that. But are we talking about hundreds of dollars or pounds a day in ad spend, or I mean, on average, how much do your students need to spend to get a deal?
Yeah, so that's a good. My recommended budget is you could start for as little as $15 to $20 a day. So let's say if you did it $20 a day, and then let's say on average, I always give people the rule of thumb that, hey, you want to generate 50 leads. You want to go into it with the intention, because if you said, "Hey, I'm just going to generate 5 leads and then see how it goes," that really isn't the best strategy. We've had students that the first couple of leads that they got in, they got a deal from. But you got to work the averages, right? So you got to go into it thinking, I'm going to generate 50 leads. And so if each lead is, say, $10 to $15 a lead, then you can extrapolate from there how much in total you'll have to spend. The benefit with Facebook is, unlike, say, if you're using direct mail and you wanted to mail postcards and letters, you have to commit to spending a certain amount of money at one time. So you have to say, look, I'm going to mail out 2,000 or 3,000 postcards. I'm going to spend a couple $1,000s. Hopefully the list is good. Hopefully the postcard is good. Hopefully I didn't mess up with any of the technology in the phone system. And if all works well, I'll get calls. Well, with Facebook, the positive is that if you spend $20 today, the only way that you're going to spend $20 tomorrow is that you spend $20 today and you got leads. And the only way that you would ever spend $500 is that you spent $100 and you're like, wow, I'm getting leads, I'm having good conversations, so I'm just going to continue to give Facebook money. So the benefit with Facebook, unlike other strategies, is that you only spend incrementally. So that means that then you don't have to put the fear of, hey, I'm going to put a whole bunch of money into something, but I'm not really sure if it's going to work out or not. And the fact is that makes it a lot easier to implement that strategy, because again, you don't need a whole lot of money up front, and you do it in increments. And again, the only way that you would ever spend $500 is because you spend 100, or you spend 2, or you spend 3, and all throughout that spending, you're getting leads, and you're saying to yourself, okay, this is working. I'm just going to keep on spending.
Right. Yeah. You're obviously not going to keep spending if they're not
Right.
using, and you can kind of keep an eye on that and the quality, and not, it's not like you're going to drop $1,000 and nothing's going to come of it. So, how long before people could start getting leads? You do the setup, you press go. How instant is it?
Yeah, so let's say if I'm targeting the state of Florida and I'm going to put a budget of, say, $25 for tomorrow. So let's say today I get started. Let's say today was 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going to sit down, I'm going to set everything up. And then what I'm going to do is my suggestion is always to start the ad in the morning. So you're going to start the ad at 8 o'clock in the morning, right? When you wake up, you turn the ads on, everything is set up, and then now you let it run the whole day. By the end of that day, you should have a couple leads. And then at that point, then you can, if you didn't get any leads, you can then figure out, okay, why did I do everything right? That's where that comes in terms of the feedback loop, right? Because again, going to the example of direct mail, if you were to spend a couple $1,000s in direct mail and the list wasn't good and the postcard wasn't good, well, now you have to go back and to retest it or to tweak anything, you have to go back and spend another couple $1,000s. Here, it's just $20 a day. But again, the objective is, you set everything up today, you turn the ad on tomorrow, and by the end of the day, you should have a couple leads in your inbox that are ready to talk to you about selling their property.
Yeah, it really is that fast, and it's exciting to see these leads coming in and be able to start having conversations with people. And I really like your text messaging strategy, because these days a lot of people they're not even used to speaking to people on the phone. They just prefer texting, and I think that's an awesome twist on things that you teach, Chris. So yeah, I mean, as you said, you've been teaching this for a while in the US, and you've got a lot of students. So can you tell us about some of the successes that they're having?
Yeah, I have students that the best success I'm having is just students, number one, that have never done this before at all. I mean, they're just starting from scratch. And now they're able to successfully use this strategy and get their first deal, right? We have experienced investors that are also doing the same thing. The one thing I want to touch on is the fact that I believe that if you consider yourself a business owner, because all of you that are here that are listening to this and you're looking at doing real estate investing, you at the higher level, you're looking at starting your own business. You're looking to become an entrepreneur. So if you consider your journey as an entrepreneur, you're always looking to acquire skills as an entrepreneur that are going to help you, regardless of whatever business you're in, right? So one of those skills, for example, is the ability to learn how to have a sales conversation with someone. And I don't mean, twisting somebody's arm or anything like that, but to be able to have an intelligent conversation with somebody that then you would be able to present them your service, whether that be to buy them, buy their house or whatever that may be. And I'm a really firm believer, a big believer that everybody should learn online marketing. Everybody should learn the ability to go in into any platform and be able to get customers, because that's going to help you in real estate. That's going to help you in anything you do. Right. And so Facebook is the easiest platform to learn. What happens with these platforms is it's once you learn one platform, it's easy to learn the others. It's like in real estate. If you buy a single family house and you learn how to use a contract to buy a single family house, well, let's say that you wanted to buy a small apartment building. Well, yes, the contract is a little different, but now you're not starting from scratch. You're using the foundational knowledge you acquired for doing single family houses, and now you're taking that and just, there's some tweaks here or there, but you'll be up and running fairly quickly than if you were starting from scratch. And it's the same thing here. In terms of once you learn Facebook, like for example, not saying we don't do Snapchat, but some of you might be familiar with Snapchat. And the whole ads platform looks exactly almost like as if it was like they copied Facebook's. So if you wanted to use that, it's easy because now you understand the language of advertising and everything else. So I'm a big believer in that. I think it benefits anyone here today to learn how to do online advertising, because online advertising isn't going to go away. It is not going to go away. No matter what happens in the future, if Facebook is not around, some other platform is going to be around. And once you understand how to do it, then it's easy to transfer the knowledge. And I think it future proofs you as an entrepreneur, that you're going to always have the capability of going out and getting customers online. And I think to me, that's the other thing that I really get juiced about, because I look at it as not only did I help this student get a deal, but now I've increased their capabilities, because now they have something that they know and understand how to do that's going to help them, regardless if they continue with real estate or any other business for that matter.
Yeah, no, that's so true. It is a great foundational skill for real estate, property, or whatever
Yeah.
business that you want to run. That's great. So, yeah, thank you so much for speaking with us, Chris. I just want to speak for a second about a special offer I want to give the audience here. I obviously, I'm a member of Chris's program. I believe in it, and people often ask me, I've got my website set up. How do I now get visitors to it? How do I now get leads? And at the moment, Facebook is my number one recommendation for doing that. So for a limited time, I want to throw in a few bonuses for anyone who wants to grab Chris's Find Motivated Sellers online program. And you're obviously advertising on Facebook, you're getting leads through Facebook, but you do still need a website for your property business if you're doing that. So if you don't already have a website, then I'm going to give you 30 days free access to our Gorilla Property Websites product, and that will allow you to quickly and easily create and customize your own deal sourcing website. And this will help you set up a website for your business, no matter whether you're in the US, UK, or anywhere else in the world for that matter. And also for any UK investors out there, if you don't already have it, I'm going to throw in a full 30 days access to our Gorilla Property Investing membership. That'll give you access to all our courses, including our Deals on Demand course that teaches you how to negotiate with motivated sellers after they contact you on Facebook to create win-win solutions for them. You'll also get access to our deal packaging course, and that teaches you how to package deals that you find onto other investors for a fee. And if you don't have any investors, then no problem. You'll get access to our joint venture facility that will allow you to partner with us to sell your deals to our list of several thousand subscribers. And of course, you'll get unlimited email support from myself. And all you have to do to get that is just forward your receipt that you get when you purchase Chris's program to support@propertyinvestmentblueprint.com, and we'll set you up with that free trial. So if you'd like to take advantage of that offering to get started with Chris's course, just click the link, which is going to be around this video, probably below it, to get started. And I'll just pass it to you, Chris, for any final thoughts or advice to someone unsure about whether now is the best time to get started, or if Facebook is the best way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I will say a couple of things. Number one is that I think, number one, let's talk about real estate, talk about the timing, and talk about Facebook. Real estate is always a great opportunity, no matter whether or not you want to buy one house a year, whether or not you want to buy one house a month or you want to buy 10 houses a month, right? At the end of the day, it's proven that real estate is a worthwhile asset. Number one. Number two is wholesaling. If wholesaling is a great gateway to get into real estate because it teaches you the most important skill, which is sourcing deals, sourcing discounted properties. Now, whether or not you want to wholesale them, or maybe you wanted to then later on you wholesale and then later on you want to keep some of them, but at least you have the inventory, you have the stuff, you have the houses in front of you or the properties in front of you that are good deals. So number one is I think that the real estate is always a great opportunity. I think timing of things is that I think over the next couple of years, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for people to make a lot of money in real estate. Obviously there's a lot of things going on with the economy, and housing is a big part of it. But when you're doing wholesaling, you're not holding on to any property. So now is a great opportunity because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be wanting to buy real estate at a discount. And if you can be the source for those individual investors to then buy those properties at a discount, you can make a ton of money doing that. And lastly but not least, figuring out how to source those deals. I always like to focus on the strategy that there's not that much competition. If you go into a room of real estate investors and you ask of 30 people and you ask them, hey, how many of you are doing direct mail? How many of you are doing cold calling? You're going to get a lot of hands that are going to raise up. But if you ask that group, how many of you are doing Facebook ads or any sort of online paid lead generation, there might be one or maybe two, if that are going to be raising their hands. And so it is an unsaturated strategy. There's a barrier to entry because I mean I'm the number one guy teaching it. There ain't anybody else teaching it. And also too, I think the benefit that you have from learning from me is that I'm also a real estate investor. So sometimes you get people that are teaching this to real estate investors, but they've never done a deal. They've never had any real estate experience. They have experience in running ads, but you have to bridge the gap. And so for me, learning from me, you're getting knowledge from somebody who's not only an investor, but also is using this strategy for their own business. And lastly, but not least, I would say just going back to the comment that I made about that, you're as an entrepreneur, you want to acquire skills and capabilities that are going to help make, no matter what circumstances come your way, no matter how the economy changes, that these are skills that are going to help you make more money, that are going to help you sustain your income. And I do believe that learning the skill of online marketing is one of those skills that everybody should have in their tool belt. And so with me, you're not only going to learn online marketing, but you're also going to be able to apply it in real estate. So you can kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah, I think that's a great point you make, Chris, about it being unsaturated. It's certainly unsaturated in the US, and it is even less saturated in the UK because I've never seen anyone doing this kind of thing in the UK, apart from
Yeah.
me briefly. So yeah. So yeah, we'll wrap it up now. But thank you so much for your time, Chris. Thanks for chatting with us. I hope people have found that valuable. And once again, click the link below this video or around it somewhere if you want to get started or check out Chris's course. So until next time, thanks for watching.